Hi, Ruben Swartz here, founder of Mimiran, the CRM for people who hate selling, and chief nerd and host of the Sales for Nerds podcast. And here's a brief introduction to how and why Mimiran works. So who is this for? Really for folks who love serving clients, whether you're a consultant or a coach or a lawyer or an accountant, somebody who loves taking care of clients, wants to have more of them, wants to have an easier time getting more of them, but doesn't necessarily like sales and marketing. Maybe you consider sales and marketing to be dirty words, and you've probably tried some tools in the past, some processes, maybe done some sales training, read some sales books, and thought, ugh, this is terrible. I really don't enjoy it, but I know I need to do it. I have a software background by training and sort of by temperament and personality, but I somehow started a marketing consulting firm that did sales and marketing consulting for the Fortune 500. And the amazing thing about this is that we were absolutely terrible at sales and marketing. And my excuse was, well, it's a little different for a boutique firm versus a giant company. And I think there's some truth to that. But really, it was just that I was bad at it. I tried selling, I tried marketing, I read a bunch of books, I did training, I used various CRMs. I tried various marketing campaigns and bought various tools and spent money on ads and so on, hired salespeople, etc. And at the end of the day, I kind of shrugged and gave up and said, it's all word of mouth anyway, which was a really, really bad mistake and probably the biggest business mistake I've ever made. It doesn't have to be that way. Here's a pretty simplified view of what our pipeline looked like. We would get referrals because we couldn't get leads from other places. Some of those referrals would turn into conversations, some of those conversations would turn into proposals, and some of those proposals would turn into clients. So first problem is this is pretty unreliable pipeline, right? And then because I was trying to be a salesperson, whatever that meant, the conversations were awkward. I didn't really have a process for doing them. I couldn't search back in my old conversations. I had this stack of paper notebooks and literal notes scattered over my computer, and it was relatively low volume. And we didn't need to be super high volume, but it would have been really helpful to have higher volume. Proposals were focused on me and our firm. They're really labor intensive and stressful. There was no way to track them. I would end up leaving those voicemails like, hey, just wondering if you had got my proposal. Do you have any questions? And of course, no e-signature. So a lot of things could go wrong in between the time someone said, yeah, we want to do this, and the time we actually could get a signature signed and scanned and returned and so on. And while we were working with clients, business development would kind of grind to a halt despite my efforts to do stuff in my spare time. So I thought, well, if I could get web leads, that would be great. But unfortunately, everything I tried had really poor conversion. And of course, there were a ton of people that I knew that I thought maybe if I spent more time with them, I could get more referrals, but I didn't really have a process for doing that. So as a result, I had this kind of clunky, not very effective pipeline. And it's a really good thing we did a good job for our clients and got them word of mouth, or we would have been in real trouble. So as a technical person, the thing that really bugged me was I had no way of tracking whether someone had even read the proposal. And I thought, this is something I should be able to fix really easily. If I could put this in the cloud and I could know, are we really going to need to start this project in 3 weeks, or is it going to take 3 months? Because half the time I would have a meeting scheduled to present the proposal, that would get rescheduled, and then I was stuck leaving those voicemails like, hey, just wonder if you had any questions on the proposal. And I thought, there's got to be a way to do this differently. So I thought, if I can put this in the cloud, instead of just calling to see voicemails, I can actually know when someone's reading and call at the right time. So I hacked together a real simple primitive version 0.1 of this and sent off a proposal with it, got the notification, called up the prospect. He said, hey, I'm so glad you called. I was just reading your proposal. And I thought, oh, this is great already. And at this point, I'd actually gotten pretty good at writing proposals. He said, I want to move forward, but there's a few things I want to clarify. So if you can make some changes, we agreed on exactly what it should say. He said, if you send me the new version, I'm ready to get started. And I said, if you go back to that section, you'll see that I've made those changes. And he thought, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. At this point, there was no e-signature. He just clicked the button that said, I accept this, and we got to go start on the project. And I thought this might be useful to some other people. So I started talking to some other folks, and some other folks started using this, and we all had some similar problems, like where was that language that I really liked for this particular situation? Whose computer is that on? Which folder was it in? Which proposal was it? You'd be searching across all these different computers, and instead now you have everything in one place. Have to do a manual find and replace. And I can't tell you how many proposals I've seen where there's a paragraph that was clearly copied in at the last minute and someone forgot to do the find and replace, so there's a different customer name in it. And I admit I'm guilty of this too. So instead, you've got a way to automatically insert client names and dates and so on. Instead of having to print and scan and have a bunch of back and forth where this can go wrong, you've got e-signature built in on any device. So not only can someone sign it, they can be reading it on their phone. Not quite as useful now that people aren't traveling quite so much, but still pretty handy. Instead of having ad hoc pricing and spreadsheets, you've got centralized, standardized pricing. And instead of lots of back and forth, you can provide multiple offers in the same proposal. Instead of ad hoc notes, you've got all your notes in one place and you can search them while you're putting the proposal together. So like, oh, what exactly did they describe as their problem? So I thought, okay, well, this is pretty good. And people were excited about it. And they said, this is great, but can you get me more leads? And at the time I thought, well, I'm just going to do some research and find something that's great for them. And I looked at hundreds of different solutions, expensive ones, free ones, in the middle. And what I found was they tended to be built for e-commerce, built for big sales teams. They stuck a form on the page. They would give you an initial notification that you had a lead, but nothing beyond that. And they were terrible for mobile, both in terms of lead capture and if they sent you a lead magnet in PDF form. So I thought, well, instead of building for e-commerce, let me build for professional services where there's a lower volume of higher value leads. We're not just trying to get someone's email address and drip them. We need to get their email address and get a conversation with them. And we're not lucky enough to have a big sales team constantly pounding the phone. We need something that's built for people who spend most of their time serving clients. So how do we give them more opportunities to call at the right time and have that conversation? Instead of putting a form on the page, we're going to put a nice button on the page. It's much more inviting. Instead of just having an initial notification, we're going to have ongoing notifications whenever somebody's accessing that content, so we have more chances to call right at the right time. You're something like 50 to 60 times less likely to get a conversation 24 hours later than 5 minutes after someone requests something. And if you're busy with clients all the time, your window is very small. You're very unlikely to get those conversations. But if you find out, hey, they're coming back in the afternoon, they're coming back next week, next month, whenever it is, you essentially get another at-bat, another chance to have that conversation. And instead of being terrible on mobile, we want it to be great on any device. Right? It's not just a PDF, it lives online, so whether they're on their phone or their tablet or their desktop, it's always going to look great. Now at this point, people said, hey, this is awesome. I've got a way to automate proposals. I've got a way to get more leads off my website by offering lead magnets in a way that works for me, where I don't have to market, I can teach. But I hate my CRM. I dump these leads into Salesforce or Zoho or my spreadsheet or whatever, and then I use Mimiran to close the proposal. Can you just make Mimiran be the CRM? And I thought, the world doesn't need another CRM. That's the last thing we need. But after a while, I got frustrated trying to do some of the stuff that I wanted to do as well. And I realized that the world actually did need another CRM, a CRM for people who hate selling. So why does tracking referrals require customization in most CRMs, or if it's possible at all, right? Why not have referral tracking baked in? All these systems let you manually set a next activity date, but what happens if you forget that? If you have 4 or 5 conversations and you forget one time to set the next activity date, you can easily lose a third or half of your pipeline just because the tool isn't making it easy for you. So why not automatically set next activity dates that you can override manually as needed? This way nothing falls off the table. I spent a ton of time wondering, who should I call next? I probably spent 90% of my time wondering that and 10% of my time actually talking to people, which is perhaps my own deficiency, but I've found out that I'm not alone in this problem. I would struggle and I would end my day with my back all in knots, and I thought there's got to be a better way to do this. So we've got a call mode feature that makes it easy to run through a bunch of calls. You click start call mode, takes you to the first person you're supposed to call. You call them, you enter your notes, hit save, go to the next one. Super easy. I can make an order of magnitude more calls than I could before. And the best part is I actually enjoy it now. At the end of the day, I'm jazzed because I had a bunch of really awesome conversations with people. I'm not all stressed out because I spent my time wondering, am I calling the right person? I also realized that there were a lot of wishful thinking pipelines in my Salesforce instances over the years, right? Where people would log that we had a deal worth X amount and it was this probability, and you'd look at it and you think we have millions of dollars in pipeline, and then the end of the quarter would come and where did it all go? Well, it's usually because until you can draft a proposal, you don't really have a good idea in this business of whether you have a deal or not. There's a lot of people who are interested, but if you don't have enough information to draft that proposal, and in Mimiran, you can do that in a few seconds, you don't have a real view of what the pipeline is. So there's flexible tagging, so you can keep track of people as you work towards those proposals, but then really easy to draft and automate the proposal process. Now, a lot of these CRMs would invest a ton of technology in tracking all your activities, which I thought was great as an introvert. Yay, I can email people and my CRM will track it. I don't have to talk to them. This is really bad. And so Mimiran is the opposite. The only thing you track with your prospects really is conversations and proposals. Doesn't automatically track your email, doesn't automatically track text, social media, any of that other stuff. You can use all that, that's great. But the thing that's essential is conversations. And this has led to a big internal shift in my head, which is I wanted to avoid the phone at all costs to, by default, I'm going to pick up the phone. And that makes such a tremendous difference. So here's the new pipeline: referrals, conversations, proposals, clients. But now the conversations are natural. There's no stress process. They're searchable. And they're high volume. What do you know? That's really helpful. And proposals are client focused. They're easy. They're stress-free. They're tracked on any device. There's e-signature. And so because there's more conversations, more proposals, more clients, there's more referrals. This is great. And because we've got this lead magnet system for the website, now we can have active conversion online. And so even when we're working with clients, business development doesn't grind to a complete halt. And in fact, between the online system and the system for following up, the process for following up with people you know, there's a steady flow of business development that happens whether you have zero time, a few minutes each day, or you're on the bench and you've got hours a day to do business development. It never stops. And the thing here is conversations are really the key. And technology is there not to replace, but to enable the conversations. So even if you're introverted and you hate selling like I do, this will work for you. And this is how you get more sales in less time. If you get more opportunities, because we've got leads coming in off our site, we're doing a better job following up with people, we're doing a better job staying in touch with people we know, our close rate goes up because we're having better structured conversations, we've got better proposal template, we're automating the proposal process, we're following up correctly there. Our price points are higher because we're delivering better value. There's less negotiating, less nickel and diming. We're offering multiple options within the proposal. We're doing this all in less time. What does this mean? Well, the math doesn't lie. It's more dollars in less time. That's what we want, right? And then we can build on this foundation with paid ads and sales reps and marketing agencies and event sponsorships and live events and so on. All the stuff that I was trying to do before I had the right foundation to build on. So I'm not saying any of those things are bad, just that we need to have that basic conversion mechanism in place to make use of them. So if this all makes sense, talked about how Mimiran is a CRM for people who hate selling. It's got the lead magnet capability to generate leads from your website by teaching and not marketing. It's got all the conversation capability to help you have more conversations with those leads and people you already know. It's got the proposal automation. Super powerful. It's like walking into a gym and you've got all this great equipment and you know, because you've made a New Year's resolution, you know you should be working out, but what do you do next? And especially right now, if your sales headquarters looks anything like mine, it's kind of like this. So instead of just sending you to the gym and saying good luck, I've put together an 8-week bootcamp program that steps you through setting up your entire funnel, work on your positioning and differentiation, putting a real bio in, not just a BS bio, setting up a web lead magnet and the facility to set up as many as you want, putting together a video that you can use online, on your site, in your lead magnets, and even in your proposals, scripts and outlines for conversations. I don't think people should read off scripts while they're talking to people, but it's great to go in with a game plan and some talking points instead of just picking up the phone and being nervous. Note-taking, really important and undervalued skill. Call lists and lots of practice calling. Going to get you a really high volume of conversations. We've got an online course on proposals, a fill-in-the-blank proposal template that's great. You just go in and basically plug and play what you learn in your conversations, and lo and behold, you have a really compelling proposal. Learn to put multiple offers in your proposal, and of course, have e-signature baked in. Learn to get testimonials from your clients. So basically, it's the gym plus the trainer plus the workout buddies. So we all do this together, and we'll do a weekly call online, have a forum for questions and answers, and help each other do things that if you're thinking sales and marketing is a slog and you hate it, but you know you need to do it, I'm here to tell you it can actually be really fun. We just have to get in the habit of going to the gym and working out the right way. If you're thinking this is great, but what does this actually cost? Here's the investment and guarantee. So it's $99 a month for 2 months. So basically you get the pro plan of Mimiran and you get the boot camp for free. Usually this costs a lot of money to hire me as a consultant. I would love to do this together just for us to help each other out. And if you do the work and you're not happy with your results, I'll give you your money back. That's my guarantee, right? I can't guarantee if you don't do the work. Of course, you're not going to see results. But if you do the work and you don't get the results that you're happy with, where you get to define what that means, I'll give you your money back. And when I say do the work, I'm expecting 2 to 3 hours a week minimum. But this is really work that you need to be doing for your business anyway. So if you're not spending 2 or 3 hours a week on business development, you're probably not spending enough. And if you have more time than that, 10, 20, 40, 60 hours a week, great. We can use all of that time, but you have to be able to put in those 2 to 3 hours a week. If you can't do that, you're not going to see the results. And then you get done, you can keep using the CRM for $99 a month. So if this sounds like it might be a fit for you, click the apply button that should be somewhere down below or to the side or something like that. Fill that out. We'll get on a quick call. And if you like what you hear, we'll assign you to a cohort, and I look forward to working with you.